Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Soca or Die, episode 4. We are here today with our distinguished and esteemed panel, and they'll introduce themselves now.
It's Peter Christopher, the journalist who listens to way too much soca, probably because it's how I heal after reporting all that terrible news.
Bruce, soca lover, soca advocate, soca everything. Soca or die.
My name is Evelina. I'm a housewife and a mom, and I'm not. I'm I just set a timer so we won't go over this time.
We try to keep it to 30 minutes. It somehow just never works out like that. But because there's so much to talk about. And this time today we're talking about social soca.
And social media. And how artists are using social media.
And all of that. Yeah.
Right.
So who's gonna start us off with the social media? I don't know what to call it. Shenanigans.
Shenanigans. Okay. So because I was the person who was keeping, as you like to say, this is another slang that just goes above me. I think I'm too old. For Nadia Batson, I will start by saying Nadia Batson is like a social media darling. I follow her on Instagram, love her Instagram. Her TikTok's funny. Like, who knew she was funny? She's hilarious. Yeah. She has her talk show, which I just want to say, I've seen a few episodes, but I've definitely seen promos and stuff like floating around for many months now, unlike some other artists who I love dearly, but has just forayed into the realm of talk shows as well.
Yeah, I saw the is it Yellow Cow TV?
Yeah.
Yes. So and let's point out as well that it is her and Miss Alicia. So again,
yes,
Soca by Soca. And
I guess there's room for everyone.
Yeah.
There's room for everybody for sure. But I mean, Nadia was doing it.
And I think it's interesting because she also is able to I don't know if you can see the share right. So in this episode she had what's his name? Kess on. She had one, so it's very, I think her Instagram is definitely well curated, if I should say so, well put together. And yeah, her videos are funny. I think it was even funnier when I don't know if you saw that one where Skinny Fabulous had mocked her in a TikTok video, because I think he's another social media hero.
Yes, for sure.
Very much out there on social media, always doing something. What's the word?
Entertaining. Exactly.
Yeah, that's the word. Entertaining.
I think what works well for Nadia too is I don't know, but I get the sense that her social media pages are managed. I don't know that she is doing this personally. Or at least you can see like they're cognizant of what they post and when they post and how, like, her posts are always, I think, well done. So I don't know if she has a team that works for her. I don't know what her management is like, and I don't know, but kudos to her team, or to her if she just has that sensibility personally and is doing it herself.
Because I think that goes back to something we were saying before. So again, yes, social media, and sometimes people think it's also easy. You put some posts up, you put some pictures up. Let me tell you, in the last couple of months, I realized that is not the case. So that's one. Especially as we try now to, and I should probably again say thank you to everybody who found the podcast organically and to the listeners and whatnot. And so this season, we're actually trying to do the social media thing. We are now on Instagram and Twitter. I mean, yes, we are late, but better late than never. And so even in that and trying to find somebody, so shout out as well to the business manager. They're doing a wonderful job in terms of matching people with marketing experts. Yeah. And we were talking last season about soca artists, and sometimes they don't take help in it. And not to say they don't take help, but they sort of a one-stop, do it yourself, do everything. Where again, in an age where we're saying, okay, virtual and social media is going to be that much more important, lean not on your own understanding, like try to get that help. And if Nadia is getting that help, then this is
Me?
you can't say? Yeah.
Kind of sticking.
But yeah, so he's another person I think that has been making the most out of social media. I feel like his pages are a lot less managed than Nadia's. His feels like it's really done by him, and that is not a neither one is a critique or a thing. It's just what I've noticed, because I think that there's merit and value in having a page that is managed.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's probably like a combination of the two things, you know. He has a lot of free reign, but they also have to have somebody there to kind of manage and take the time to post what, when, and things like that, you know.
But let's also look at, so I think Instagram is, I mean, not for us, but for others, Instagram is very low threshold, because to start up an Instagram page, so whatever, it's easy. And like you said, whether it's curated or not, when I say curated, I mean managed or not, or externally managed or not. But what I realized as well is that a lot of artists don't even have YouTube pages.
No.
Or official YouTube channels or videos, and I wonder whether or not that was tied to, and I mean, I know we will speak about videos in the next episode, but I was like, okay, maybe because they don't put out many videos, like visuals for their songs, if that's why they don't have YouTube. But then this whole lyric video wave came about, and so why don't you have a YouTube you in music?
I think it could be. Now, forgive me if this is not where you're going with the discussion on it, but in our region, in our territory, we don't make money when we from our YouTube channels, and so the tie-in, the video exists and it could be shared, and there's no real benefit. Not that there's one from Instagram, but you still have like a greater audience locally on Instagram, and you can be like an influencer on Instagram, and so they have there's a benefit to Instagram socially for sure, but in terms of the benefit from YouTube, I wonder if it just isn't worth it to them. If they were getting money, if they were remunerated in the way people in international markets are, when you have your YouTube channel and you have a number of views, and so I think maybe they might utilize that platform more, but YouTube doesn't care about the West Indies, because we have excellent content creators. And
I think what they've had to do is that they've had to partner with international groups to see if they could get that monetization into the international organization that will then get to them. So I know a lot of these soca artists, they don't have their personal channels, but they have a sub channel on Julian's promo. And they are trying to kind of,
use that,
organize that kind of that line of they can receive the royalties that perhaps they should be getting from YouTube, but it's still a challenge for them.
You'll get royalties from YouTube based on your number of subscribers and the amount of views you generate. So even if
Julian hit a million subscribers this last year, so
it makes sense. But even if as an artist, let's call a mid-range artist, any one of them.
Who's a mid-range artist?
Exactly, I ain't calling no names.
The funny thing is, right?
Let's say a mid-range artist, let's say a mid-range artist, right, has a YouTube channel, and a big artist has a YouTube channel. If that mid-range artist has 1 million subscribers, he will get monetized.
No, it still doesn't work. It's our region, it's our region that we aren't allowed to profit from.
But then does it matter where because for example, if you have and some of them do have management in the US and wherever, if they are managing the YouTube channel and the YouTube, then you can monetize it from, you understand?
I think, and now I'm not sure that there's a workaround. I remember trying to do some research into it when I was putting out my son's YouTube videos. And I'm not sure that there was a workaround, because I was trying very hard. When you see 9-year-olds making, millions, tens of millions of dollars for their content, and you have a 7-year-old who is like busting at the seams with energy and talent, and so I looked into it, And I don't know that I found a viable workaround. Because if I had, I would have,
But I think there must be. But I believe that there ought to be, especially when you have some of them using management companies based abroad. But the second
based
thing,
on the states, yeah.
but the second thing as well is that, and these are the areas of, and which is why, I mean, and this was back in the days of when I used to work in that place, and we dealt with associations of service providers. So you have different industry groups coming together. And one of the hardest things ever, especially in the creative sector, was to get, of course, them to come together to form an association to whatever, because you need that kind of advocacy, because where an individual artist cannot go, then is where you need to call on policy advocate or whatever. Because remember when Instagram was blocking carnival pictures or something like that, and there was this sort of response to it. And I mean, I don't think that was public policy intervention, but there was an outcry, there was a response, like, this is not lewd and whatever,
this is culture, this is not
whatever, you can't block the right. So you need to, I think, work together as an industry group in terms of, okay, who it is could get into these spaces, even as a collective, as a region, as a whatever, could get into these spaces to say, hey, what's happening? Because even though our content creators don't make money, we are still consuming content on YouTube. Or is it that we need to develop our own platform? Or when we look at it, because if you are also, and we don't have the data, because I did look, because I saw Patrice had a post on her Instagram about number of Spotify plays and whatever. But then again, that's a Patrice Roberts. We don't know what the plays for other artists are, if they even list on some of these streaming platforms. Because even integrating, because for Christmas I had a post and I was looking for parang music, on Instagram. You could attach music to your whatever. The only one I found was Baron, right? One Baron song. And I'm like, well, we have a whole host of it. So all of these things come into play where I think, especially now where there is this attention on digital, I think we need to look at what does digital mean in the context of Soca, the Soca economy, and what does it mean in the context of artists making money, not just from live performances, which is their biggest income earner and has been for decades.
Of course, yeah.
So what next? What else? And how are you monetizing your talent?
Well, there's the other thing about going viral, because it's really interesting to find out how much it helps artists, because in the past year we've seen a couple instances of soca artists getting some viral buzz, but I'm not sure how much it really helped them. Like Denise Belfour's work came back because of Salty Lives and people.
And let me tell you, the audacity of Gen Z, because I saw on Twitter some misinformed person trying to mislead the public and reallocate, I don't know what the song. And I'm like, listen, I don't care who remix the rhythm after. I don't care who come after and do a next song on it, whatever. Give Denise Belfour her broom, please, right? She, and we will talk about videos, but she, in that windowsill, I don't know if you remember the video, in the windowsill singing to the man. All right. Let me not, and that predated any of these.
Are you keeping for Denise Belfour?
Always. I listen to me. My cape is broad. My cape is raw. My cape is.
Yes.
If I have real logos on it.
Of course.
Like a NASCAR.
but give Jack his jacket, because everybody likes to talk about attribution and thing and everybody again. But the lady sing the song in the 90s?
Yeah. I think it was 2000.
That was 2000?
I think it might have been 2000 exact, 99, 2000, somewhere around.
Late 90s, early 2000s.
When they said what's his name, mashing up Fete, going around the country, when they said that was 2000, I said that seemed like
you're on board about me not ready yet.
But so give her thing. But yes, it went viral on TikTok. So kudos to Denise, because to have a song that come out of the blue, like you couldn't tell how or when or why it resonated, maybe because of the remix, the remix beat or whatever, but you couldn't tell when or why or how, but everybody put you back in it. And I'm like, okay, well, Did she?
Okay, I think the thing about that song though is what I had learned is it's really big in like Italy and Europe and thing right now. Like now. Before
Now.
just around the time
Really
that it
big.
came. Huh?
It was really big back then too because that
Well,
song
I'm saying
came
it
out for
was
Carnival and the music video came out in the States because it was getting buzz internationally. So
right. But what I'm saying that at the time, yes, and we understood. But for a friend to, I think my friend was in, I wanna say like Italy
Mhm.
or somewhere, and you know, or Spain or somewhere, and they were like, this song is in heavy rotation
Wow.
here right now.
But
Heavy
is
rotation,
that
and I was
chicken or
like,
egg? Is that chicken or egg? Was that before or after TikTok?
before that was before the TikTok boom. That was like when people could still. This was before COVID,
Okay.
so people
Because-
were partying it in the clubs and stuff over there, and I was like,
Yeah.
yo. So that when it was popular on TikTok, I was like, okay, well, it probably would be TikTok users, probably from like Europe and stuff that might have, you know what I mean? Because
we
it's
did,
like huge right now.
because we
Yeah.
did talk about you know, even when we talk about Destra, about how some of those songs in her back catalog, like the Trimble It and the whatever, how again still mashing up places, you know, outside in the diaspora and whatnot. But yeah, that was I was proud for Denise and for
Yeah.
the song because I was just waiting for the panic challenge, and I'm just like, not on TikTok, but that one. If she
But
comes
you
with
would
a
have-
now, I will say
But you would have panic.
huh?
But you would have panic. You'd have be panicking.
Yeah.
I was putting my back in it right through. Every time I hit, that was like at that time, I was one of those people that just used to get lost down the rabbit hole of TikTok, and I used to live it. I was living back. Put your back in it.
Hear me now. What if Denise and Alison had clashed instead?
Better.
I'm just getting off topic, but
Alison
Better.
will wash her. Easier. Given those.
I find that I would have bet. I find that's a better.
I know.
Okay, look.
It would have been
But
close.
study-
I would have had to think about
study
it.
that before we get sidetracked. Let me study that. Put the matchup, even if it should be
Put the
same.
song.
Are we before we get sidetracked? Because we already are sidetracked.
Yeah, we already said. So we just put a
Back
pin in
on
that
task.
for later, right? A pin in that for later, and see how that matchup would go like in your mind, like song for song. But back to the
Right.
social media.
Song, Alison would wash her.
You always think.
Because the listeners,
You do what?
Aurelia and I had a brief conversation before that Soca versus with Alison and stuff, and it's the same position I maintain. Alison is going to wash Patrice Roberts, right?
I don't think it was as
It
much
would
of a
be
watch.
Easier work for Denise Belfont to be Denise. It'll be easy work.
I just had to play this video for Olia because I tell me what didn't
Okay.
go good.
Because there's no such thing as bad publicity, and that is basically what it is.
Just now, wait. This. Just now.
What?
Not.
It ain't done yet.
It's not. I can't say too much. I see myself in this video. So
You see yourself in the video?
I feel like I'm capable. So I can't say much.
I couldn't. I couldn't. I'm just like this is what we come on social media. And I mean maybe a viral moment. No, what you said, Kareem, no publicity is bad,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, but I
I'm
think
not.
there's
I'm not gonna judge it.
there's also the trying too hard thing.
No, I don't see that as trying too hard. I see that as good fun.
Yeah,
I think that's good fun because I was about to say, I think I did just say, I cannot judge it. I see myself in that video. People who know me people who spend, like people who even I work with, I'm ashamed to admit, but the people who spend like 8 hours cooped up with me, they know, like I will get down on the ground and break dance.
Of
And it'll be
course.
like the
But
worst.
as you, we understand as you, that's how you are, that's who you are. But I think that a lot of these artists and these entertainers, you should never try to go viral.
I don't know that he's trying. I think
you want him alone.
I think
but
we were
let's
I think
talk about it.
I think we were having fun because this is
Yeah.
I show it because again Voice does that live I think weekly.
Yeah.
And so
him
the
and
format,
Jared Penny.
the format isn't it's not like okay, so Nadia has that kind of podcast talk. We feel they just I guess
Fun and games. Yeah, theirs is just anything is anything.
Yeah.
right. And I think it was when I say unintentional, I don't think it was curated to be let me stay relevant, but it does keep Voice
So
sort of
what I get sense of there is they are three people who are very comfortable with each other and they are literally just taking the piss.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think they're just having fun, good old fashioned fun.
Yeah,
Let me also say, because I'm a woman and I am allowed to change my mind. We were talking last season about young Soca. I can't remember if we forgot Voice
No, we
or what
did.
the commentary was.
Voice
think-
was already winning. Yeah, he had.
But let me just point out here, apparently, because Kerwin had a series like every Saturday or something, he used to do a live too with exposing new talent, right? And having new people on and whatnot and whatnot. And he had mentioned, because he had Voice on one of those sessions, he had mentioned that Voice wrote Unforgettable, which I didn't know, and big
he did.
song. Yeah, and that he was also part of the writing team on Too Real. So I was like, okay, well, if we didn't give Voice his props then last season, we
For sure. What amazes me about Voice is, have you all noticed, like if you look at that live thing that they do, Voice has a wall on, I think like in his house or something, with his logo.
Yes.
And I don't know how to get to this stage in my life where I could just put like Evo. It blows my mind every time. You have a built-in set. He has like a built-in set. His logo is right there.
Maybe it is. Maybe that's the purpose of it, to be,
Is that his social? What I'm trying to understand is that his social media room? Is that his bedroom? Is that his living room?
Maybe that's
which room?
Maybe that's the office. Maybe it's an office space, like
something. Right. Okay.
Come into,
and then you put your brand.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Good for him though. I think it's cool.
So let me.
I want to give him his flowers. Let's give Voice his flowers, and I think one of the reasons why we probably didn't touch on Voice and give him the props last season is probably because he's already won so much. So you can't really. He's not underrated. He's not underrated at all. He's accurately rated.
But I think the question was, okay, Voice has been very consistent for the last couple of years, yes, but very much in a lane, like in a space, and nothing is wrong with having your own lane, not even your own, but having a lane, having a space. But it's like, okay, but is Voice trying? Like what is Voice doing? What next? You know what you're gonna get from Voice.
He's just making good music, and
I will say that I think that these lives and so does a good thing for his image, right? Because I feel as though he can feel like just musically he can feel a lot more mature than he is.
Yeah.
And so I like that what he's doing with his social media that reminds you that he's also just a kid. He's but he's very young. He's very
and I think it makes him
young and more relatable
because I think it makes him a little more personable too. Like again, the same thing. Okay, so he's young and he's fun, or can have fun or whatever. Because, like I said, what you see before the pandemic, what you see of Voice or what you hear of Voice is, I don't want to call it preachy because the music is lovely, it's wonderful, but it's that kind of admonition, or that kind of grown, like you said, mature kind of thing.
Very mature, a more mature perspective, a more measured perspective on life. And so it's nice.
Because in his music, he is not fun. When I say fun, like pretty, you think? I mean,
he's not gonna tell you to bend over and find it,
right? Because Pretty has those songs like Say Yeah and those other kind of more mature and
there's balance.
That I really like now, something I don't really mean to whatever, but so he has those songs, but then he also Pretty could say I think have a line with Pretty and that kind of way.
I think that Voice uses his music very intentionally. You know,
Yeah.
he definitely
Yeah.
you know, and that's great. And I do think that, as I said, the what he does with his social media makes him more relatable. And I think that that is necessary to remind people that he is a young person, but also to be able to continue to use his music very intentionally. I think it's very smart what he's doing, because he's showing them that he's a young person. He can have fun. He does have fun. He's a fun-loving person, but he's also a very responsible person, you know, in the messages that he
That
shares. So
delivers, yeah.
I think he's able to show young men, especially, it's okay to be fun and young and whatever, and still be a responsible person. Like, that doesn't emasculate you. It doesn't
Yeah.
remove us an element of fun. I think good job on for him, or to him, or sorry, on the way he utilizes his social media and how he marries that with his image. I think it's working well for his image.
Anything on this, Peter?
Well, in terms of, I think it when they do lives like that, I think they mentioned the Kerwin Dubois one before.
Mhm.
It allows the average folk to interact with these artists very and kind of get an idea what kind of personality they are, and they're not just this guy who's come up on stage and sing the song and
Yeah.
mash up it or sing whatever. And I think that's one of the good things, and it's also allowed people to interact with them and perhaps bring things into their music as well.
Right.
I'd make reference again to Cohen Dubois live, which is like the Voice live, where if I was to marry a guy,
Yeah.
Right.
and you know, just getting his reaction to this man singing this thing, and it allowed that guy to develop into an artist who put out music later on. So
Yeah. And even Kerwin similarly, because and I think Kerwin had I don't know if it was a vlog or like a thing on his Instagram too, where you follow him around, he might be doing something, he might be talking to his daughter. I didn't realize that he had a daughter, of that age, like that kind of thing. So like you said, it does make him more personable and make it more, thing. I just want to as well just point out, I mean, because I found this via social media and I didn't really have any other episode, but I realized that what's his name? Bravo opened a studio. It looks like an excellent facility. I know nothing about studios. But it looks thing I thought it was interesting that he would open it.
yeah, he really loves music.
Exactly.
He
does. I'm not sure if he has a voice for it, but yeah, he does really love the music.
Even if he's been able to do something. He's again one of them people where Trinidad is a funny place, because your song know how to be good, but once you have the vibe to go with it, because we will support stupidness, right?
Yep.
So, and not to say that is stupidness, but it's not like top quality.
Because I would say, so here's my thing about Bravo. I think he's a very smart fellow, and I think that he knows very well that what to strike when the iron is hot. I think he knows that his brand is huge, especially like in India and those markets, and they will eat up anything he spits out. And so he is taking this opportunity to live his other dream,
exactly,
of having a music career and creating.
And I like that he doesn't. You know how we talk about people who have thin skin and that kind of thing. I assume that he doesn't, because even with Champion and some of those other things, Peter coming to even with Champion and those other things, like people bash the man, and then CPL, everybody Champion, So, like I said, I think he did strike while the iron is hot, and you invest, because again, I think setting up the studio is an investment, because it's not just him. It's for all the other artists, and he had a couple of people come through the studio, and so I think it was a good move on his part, and then again to showcase it to us like that. I don't see his social media presence as being as thing as say Nadia or Voice or Skinny or Cohen in this time, but just kudos to him on that.
One quick thing on Bravo's music, those pancake syrup and something that's for international or export only.
Yes.
That's Bravo's music. That's not for us.
No, man, you know what? I think that we are also being overly critical and also a little stush about it, right? A little because if it was absolute like
Trash.
pure filth, if it was pure filth, we wouldn't bop it. And there's you have to give credit to songs like that as well, like the songs that
It
are
brought
well are produced well enough.
You know what? He
I
reminds
made
me of
sure-
Motto. He and Motto in the same boat right now.
Never.
Don't do matter that. But first of all, right? I made
Bravo
sure and
could
I
have sing-
said
sorry.
my
Bravo
thing
could have
about
sung Big
Bravo.
Ride, and it would have the same effect.
No.
Yes.
No.
No.
I can see
I
Bravo singing Big Ride.
We need to rip up this girl cape because she caping for the wrong people.
Right. I made sure and said I'm not sure his voice is for music because I actually think Bravo has very decent lyrics. He have one or two things that be like, hey, you're seeing a little thing here. But because your voice such trash, people not really hearing it now.
I think it's well packaged and it's solid, and that's why it works. And kudos to him, man. But
They got
There-
Bravo, but come on,
But
guys.
because
There
no,
is
Champion is a big
Bravo.
tune. No, Champion is a big tune. I
Please
agree.
do
It
the
is.
Big Ride remix. Thank you.
so I think who else? As we talked about Voice and his collaboration with Jared Penny, who I have a lot of respect for. I think he's one of those younger MC announcer types who I think he's gonna do well, because I definitely see that he takes it seriously. And I wanted to put a plug in here for my girl Whitney, who came up in the last episode, but I see Whitney has her podcast as well, and I know that this period of pandemic is kind of making everybody have to shore up their defenses and what they can offer and what they do to make sure they stay relevant. And then people are being a lot more conscious of how they use their digital media. And so when I see that her podcast is going into season 2 as well, and I thought, her most popular, so she's popular for her discussions on relationship. I think she does something like that as well. But it's interesting to see how these people have tried to segue into other things. Just
the last one as well, because talking about segueing, Destra is now a talk show host, and hers is again on another digital platform. I think it streams.
It's actually a whole TV station, but they're more famous for their digital right now.
Well, right. So I found it. I found it digital because of where I am. But I was about to say I do think that it shows on some stations, depending on where you are in the world.
right.
But for us, I don't think we have a station that's. And I don't have a TV because I'm not paying for a TV license, so you think I'm bother. But but she is now in the talk show host category, and the screen here, the TV station, I took it straight from their Instagram because I see they do a lot of other local content, a lot of other.
I have to admit, I haven't watched it. I've seen stills from it and these things that she shares on her Instagram, which I think is being managed a lot better lately than it had been in 2020 when we discussed Destra's Instagram. But
So you're trying to say that she was less trappy on the Instagram now?
Yes, she is less trappy on Instagram.
Hi, let's not use those words.
But I think she pivoted into a different lane and is trying to do different things with her image. So, good for her. I do want to try to catch a couple episodes just so I could have a fair sense of what she's offering, but I haven't seen it. I will say I felt a little sore because Nadia has her talk show, now Desha has a talk show, but guys, that's Alexa. Alexa says time's up.
We're having so much fun.
What's that?
We're having so much fun.
I know, and we just got into Destra and her show. Yes, Nadia has her own show as well. I wonder with Nadia, because I saw that Destra is on the TV/streaming.
Right.
And I saw Nadia's with Yellow Cow TV. What is Yellow Cow TV? Because I thought it was her station, like she had a platform. I don't know, but I got the podcast vibe from it.
Yeah.
And again, another general conversation as well. I haven't seen a full episode. And then other people who are doing their regular lives and how they are trying to stay. And I don't want to say they're trying to stay relevant. They are doing what they're doing
it's
that
just
keeps
how
us-
they're making the most of their
Right.
digital media, because it's all
Exactly.
part of your image. It's all part of your overall package, especially when you have a brand. And I think they are starting to become more cognizant of the fact that they need to have a brand, and that now that we are operating, thankfully, this switch to more digital platforms because of COVID has had that positive effect on a lot of some of the, I guess, the persons who are shyer on social media platforms, that we are now seeing it being properly managed in a lot of cases, or even existent. So like people who like Nylan, who have been aware of it and been using it to their advantage all the time. I know we didn't really mention them, but shout out to those people who have been on the train for a long time. But I really want to applaud.
But I still think right. So I think there are those
they're
who use it
voiced.
and who've been active on social media in terms of, again, posting and whatever and using it as part of their brand and part of their image. But I think the added engagement, the kind of engagement that we're getting now is a lot different from what we would have seen before.
I think we lost the mystique of the artists. You don't know anything about the artists. Now we have to kind of view them as your friends or people you just want to know about. You don't have to buy a time to learn lyrics or learn what the person doing. Now they throw in content at you now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the shoe on the other foot now. Now you want my attention.
Right.
Attention now. Okay.
Because now I'm going to put in my obligatory Nessa Preppy reference. Now I know that Nessa Preppy changed her hair and she's doing her nails and everything.
Now I know everything about you.
Yeah. I love that.
Now, is there pressure then for them to be, and I mean, not just keeping up with the post, but is there pressure now for them to go live and to, do this, do that, do the other? Is there pressure now?
It depends on the caliber. It depends on the caliber. Some people
I
need
don't think so.
It does actually, and I'll say this because I had a conversation with Bunchy Garlin a couple of days ago, and he was talking about it, and he's like, it's not how it was 15, 20 years ago. Now, you used to have your stylist and thing to look good when you're on stage and thing, but now you need it so that you can put out something on Instagram and you can put out something because people want to follow the artist and see how they live and nobody want to see no artist living wearing some bust-up vest and thing home or something like that. They want to see that the artist conducting himself a certain way or looking at a certain standard so that they will follow or want to look at what this person putting out now.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I think, but I don't know if that puts pressure on them to like go live. What I will say is that it hopefully then teaches them a lesson that I think is difficult, or a pill that is difficult for a lot of trainees to swallow. Trainees think they know everything about every damn thing.
Mm-hmm.
I could throw party, I could do my social media thing, I know about that. I think they're starting to realize that there's real knowledge and thought and science and process that goes behind it, that goes into it. You can't just, like, staging is important, lighting is important. How are we taking these pictures? How are we? And so,
when you're walking on your live, what kind of feedback?
yeah, and so maybe media, professionals in the other strains of media and communications probably can now actually flex their muscles and do some real work. PR professionals now, marketing professionals now can really get in there and get some respect. But also assist, you know what I mean, and help people to understand how to package themselves.
And I think it goes back to, again, what we were saying in the beginning with if it is a managed stream, same thing with getting that assistance where you're not going to be able to do everything. And I mean, it's the same thing I think in any endeavor, like, because I always feel like, for example, with this, even with doing it and getting it set up, like, I am not an audio engineer. I am not a visual engineer person either. I just want to create the content, I just want to talk about whatever it is I'm talking about on the podcast. And it's the same thing with even the social media. That is not, like, there are people who
get a guy for that. Yeah, there's a guy for that, or a girl for that.
Really professional.
For any of the things you need to get done. You don't have to do it. You have to be the jack of all trades in this life.
Exactly.
And so maybe this could also then, I mean, so COVID has taken away a lot of jobs, but maybe it could also inspire a lot of
what we didn't know. No, I'm saying yes. And I mean, I'm going back to carnival is a sea that is deep, right? And you see the enjoyment, but you don't see the employment. And I'm saying when we look at, because when we spoke about 2021, I wanted to have that discussion about 2021 carnival and the cancellation. And then the recent article about NCC and not doing events or not having an event because, other stakeholders are having events. And again, I'm saying, where did we go wrong with this? Because again, you're not going to have because I think the comment was, it's catered for sort of the tourist market and tourists and the tourist dollars, because again, that's how we earn foreign exchange units, right? And I'm saying, but it's more than that. And then when you put it on, what kind of economic activity are you even generating locally? Because at this time we need to generate economic activity. So even among those other kinds of professionals who may not have had the kind of employment during the season that we would have seen traditionally, you are bringing on these creatives still, you are bringing on these artists still, you are bringing on these social media marketers, you're bringing on the advertisers, you're generating again, so foreign exchange is important in trade and the economy, etc., but also generating and stimulating the local economy is important, and putting on those kinds of activities, events, whatever it is. I wish we had time to talk about that, but
maybe have another episode sometime.
In another episode.
I think that's a discussion to be had.
Yeah, I think definitely.
But Peter, you had something to say?
No. I think we'll carry that further in the next episode.
In the next one. So as we close off, we discuss social soca. We'll be back again in the next episode to discuss videos. We're still on this visual soca, digital, etc., and so we'll be back in episode 5.
Bye.
Adios.
Later.